President Trump says a memorandum of understanding on a peace deal with Iran could be signed as early as this weekend. Here's what sources are telling us here at CBS News about what may be in that draft: a 60-day negotiation period, removal of what President Trump calls nuclear dust, and Iran not enriching uranium for 15 to 20 years. But according to Iranian state media, some of the bullets in that 14-point agreement include the release of $24 billion in frozen assets, the negotiation of the nuclear program during a 60-day ceasefire period, full lifting of the naval blockade within 30 days, and commitment from the U.S. to withdraw forces from the vicinity of Iran. Now, again, those details, they are from Iranian state media, but President Trump is disputing all that. He says these terms have nothing to do with the terms that were agreed to in writing. His warning to Iran: they better get their act together. Let's bring in CBS News Middle East contributor Courtney Keeley. Courtney, good to see you today. So, based on the points from both Iranian state media and our sources, does this seem like a win for the U.S.?
I wouldn't quite say that. I mean, first of all, the Iranian regime is now strengthened and more militaristic. There are a lot of rumors going around. What I'm looking at is Sayed Abbas Araghchi, the foreign minister, just said they're calling it the Islamabad Memorandum. And the Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding, he wrote, has never been closer. And pending its finalization, the media should refrain from entering speculation about its content. We did talk about the points that we already know President Trump is pushing back, but they're largely the same things that have been discussed over and over. So it's not really changing that much. It's just a question of really key things like the unfreezing of Iranian assets, this $24 billion. Will they release $12 billion? Will President Trump be willing to do that? Will he be criticized for that, like President Obama was when he entered in the JCPOA? Will the Republicans push back on that? So what's really in the memorandum is things that we've heard over and over. But with the Iranian foreign minister saying they've never been closer to a deal, this really is significant because we're hearing it from both sides, the U.S. and Iran. But you're not hearing from the Iranian people. And even though the internet blockade isn't fully dark, people aren't dark anymore, they're not really free to get on the internet and talk about all the atrocities and the massacres and the executions that have been going on while all of this, quote, deal making is being done.
Wow. Courtney, you mentioned the former president. Can you talk to us more about the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action deal that was under President Barack Obama? How does this potential agreement that we're talking about here differ from that one?
Well, first of all, the nuclear facilities are in completely different shape than they were. The level of detail that they got into with nuclear physicists, one person who was in the room, who's an expert, told me had met Abbas Araghchi, the foreign minister, who was there. They were drilling down on details. What's similar is the IAEI, the UN Nuclear Watchdog Group, could come in. They could monitor what they call the down blending of uranium. That's the layman's term for us. That means that you can enrich it up to a certain point that it's nuclear grade, but you can also down blend it so it's not as effective, not as really deadly, so to speak. They could down blend the enriched uranium. But where is it? Since last year's 12-day war, when the U.S. bombed, we know that they bombed several nuclear facilities. Is it at Isfahan? Is it buried under the rubble? That's probably likely where it is. How do you remove it? How are they going to do that? How are they going to downblend it? It's in apparently liquid gas form, maybe about 900 pounds. But as you see, I'm categorizing like maybe, possibly. There's also another nuclear facility that has been identified in the last year called Pickaxe Mountain. That's obviously a nickname for it. But what's happening there? There has been movement there. So it's a different little landscape than it was when President Obama and world powers entered the previous deal that President Trump took the U.S. out of.
Okay, Courtney Keeley, certainly sounds different from everything you just laid out there. Thank you so much for your insight. We appreciate it.